Hi, welcome to Cocktail Mode, the podcast where me, Andy, and my co-host Dave,
hello,
that's Dave, pick a classic game and talk about it for a good long while and then spend a much shorter while trying to pair it with a cocktail.
And then several hours or days editing it down to an hour.
But you just hear this beautiful finished product in all its sleek professionalism. We are talking today about Rocket Knight Adventures. We decided to do something new and pick a game that neither of us have ever played before. With, I think it's fair to say, mixed results, Dave?
Yeah, I definitely describe it as mixed results.
So if you want to hear that, stay tuned. So how come you've not got much to say about Rocket Knight Adventures?
Because I barely played it.
Really?
I didn't like it. I really couldn't get into it.
Really?
Yeah. And I think probably if I'd have played it when it was around originally, I don't think I'd have liked it then either.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't get on with it at all.
This is the Mega Drive version, right?
Yes, yeah. Thing is, I can tell it's a good game. I've seen quite a long video of somebody playing it through from start to finish. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's some really interesting touches, some really good moments. Like where it changes from sort of the platforming style to like a flying sort of shoot 'em up bit.
Yeah.
There's like a half level in between. I thought that was absolutely brilliant, but I just couldn't get into it. It just didn't grip me. But like I say, I don't think I would have enjoyed it originally either.
No?
Well, it does a lot of the things that Sonic does that I find annoying. It gives you the abilities to move around a level and then tells you to not do them. Sonic is famous for it. This is a game about the fastest hedgehog on the planet.
Yeah.
And half of those levels you have to creep through.
Yeah.
To avoid the various obstacles and do the platforming. And Rocket Knight does the same thing. There's bits where it's got to make the perfect jump at the perfect point to then land on something else. And then you've got to wait for something to move before doing a little jump and then wait again and then another little jump. It didn't feel like it flows well for me.
Oh.
Could just be that I'm shit at it.
I mean, it might be.
I think it comes back to the Pac-Man argument. It's a good game. I can tell it's a good game. I was just shit at it.
Well, it's interesting because the first level is very simple and it's very much clearly designed to lead you in and teach you the things like a good first level should, right? It should say, here's a wall you can't jump over without using the boost feature and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't find that. I don't think I ever found in the game a point where I felt constrained.
It's probably just me. This isn't really the kind of game I would normally play.
No. It's not for me either, for a large part, because it's certainly, I mean, it's not, but it presents as a mascot platformer, doesn't it? That's what you. It's certainly that first level is very much along those lines.
Yeah.
But it's not. It very quickly turns into an action-adventure game. It was directed by a guy who directed loads of the Contra games, and I think there's that in it. It's certainly more of that as it goes on than it is as a platformer. So I think if it had stayed a platformer, I wouldn't have stuck with it. I played the sequel, Sparkster, on the Mega Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Which comes across more of a platform. The art style is completely different, and it feels like it's trying to be Sonic more than Rocket Knight Adventures is.
Okay.
And I didn't like that. I didn't play much of that at all. I just bounced off it quite hard. It's not my bag. It just didn't. Again, it felt more platformy. And maybe I've given up on it too soon. I think possibly swayed by other people's opinions on it because it's not very popular. Sparkster, people say it's not anywhere near as good as Rocket Knight Adventures. So I may have let that sway me a little bit because I didn't enjoy it either.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first one I absolutely loved.
Well, you finished it.
I did, yeah.
I'd played it for like 5 minutes and you were like, yeah, I finished it. I'm playing the second one. Oh, fuck.
But yeah, I just loved it. I mean, I played it through on an emulator with save states.
Right.
So that sort of helped me along. But there was only a couple of points where I got really stuck. And again, this is something the game's quite well known for. And it's first setting on the European and the Japanese level. It's designed to be quite easy and playable. And we've talked about this before, how Japanese games are designed to be replayed. And that was the case with this. So they rebranded the difficulty levels, and the default level on the American one was the very hard level on the European and the Japanese one.
Jesus.
Yeah, so in Japan and Europe, it was default to the first setting. It's like, this is where you start. That's the default setting. But then, so that was called easy, and then there was hard and very hard.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, when they launched it in America, they rebranded that as children, easy, and normal.
I like children. That's good. Good difficulty setting. Maybe I should have played it on that.
I mean, if you didn't play the American version, what version did you play?
I think it might have been, actually.
Yeah, it's just the number of lives you have that's affected. I don't think there's much else. I think sort of one hit kills and lives. I don't think it changes much else other than the last level. It's one of those weird things where they just decided to make the American one really hard. But yeah, I absolutely, I whizzed through it. I didn't get stuck very often. I got stuck at a really, really annoying point. There's one of those levels, I can't remember what level it is, where it's one of those times where you have to sort of navigate a bit of a maze sort of upwards as something's coming up from underneath you. It's a bit of a classic. And you have to sort of use the dash move to get across the screen quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But at full power, the dash move, you bounce off the wall at the other end and get stuck again. And I just couldn't get my head around it. I just could not get it, because you don't have to charge the full power. You can charge a little bit under. No, so even when I figured out how to do that bit, I never did it by charging to a smaller amount. I just bounced off the back wall and slid the other way.
You made it part of your run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that the boost mechanism thing was just the same button as fire, but held down.
Yeah.
Because it did that. One of those things that Mega Drive games used to do quite a lot is you'd basically have like your 3 buttons, and it would be the same thing on all 3 buttons. So if you play Sonic the Hedgehog, there's one button, jump, and it's the same.
Yes, yeah.
Any button does the same thing. But I did find with Rocket Knight, you could have had jump, your sword, your attack ability, and hold it down to do the spin move or something. And then the rocket could have been its own button.
That's a good point, actually.
I really struggled to see why they went down that route.
I thought it was weird that you can aim up at you can fire off in any direction with that boost.
Yeah.
But you can't lock yourself in place to do it. If you want to go up at an angle, you'll walk to the right as you're trying to aim it up to the right. And that, I thought that was odd. There's normally in games like that, there's a way to sort of lock yourself in place while you pick a direction.
Mm.
But you get used to it.
It's like aiming your fire in a Contra game, isn't it?
Yes.
You will move in the direction that you're
But I think
wanting to
you
aim.
can hold, I think it might be L1 on the SNES, and that locks you in place so you can fire it.
Oh, okay.
I might be making that up.
I loved the music.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
I thought the music was fantastic.
Yes.
And I thought there was some genuine effort gone into that. Which is a good thing and a bad thing, because I wanted to turn the sound off because the sound effects in general were horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
I think this is like the second game you've said this about when I've gone, really? So I think maybe you've got something set up wrong, or maybe you just don't like 16-bit sound effects.
Yeah, I think it could be that. Just lots of very high-pitched bleeps. Like, when you're charging up your rocket move.
Yeah.
I found that a grating noise.
Oh, really?
Just found it annoying.
You should definitely play Yoshi's Island on the SNES.
Yeah?
Oh, mate. Everybody genuinely considered one of the best platformers ever made. I really, really didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Basically, you're a Yoshi carrying little baby Mario around on your back.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember this.
And little baby Mario can come off your back, and when he does, I think he either cries or he calls Mama or something like that. And it's the most annoying thing you have ever heard in your entire life. It's genuinely offensive. I just cannot abide it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's another one. I'll tell you what's weird about that game is people go on about how brilliant it looks and how great the design is. I don't get it. It doesn't look all that special to me.
I don't think I ever played it.
No, I think I picked it up because I found it. There was a time when it was going for a lot of money, and I found it for not a lot of money, so I picked it up. And obviously, I do try and play most of what I buy. I think looking now, I've got a video of Rocket Knight Adventures running in the background as we do this, and I mean that's a great looking game. I mean everything from the character designs, the enemy designs, the platform designs, the special effects that they got going, again, especially considering it was the Mega Drive, which was quite often shortchanged on that front. Not because it couldn't. Games like Gunstar Heroes and this Rocket Knight proved that it could do brilliant things and games could look incredible, but quite often it seemed they didn't. I don't get Super Mario Land 2 Yoshi's Island or something that's give its
Yeah, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Some of the levels look like they're sort of hand drawn and coloured in with crayon.
Yeah. Like
a kid's designed them and drawn them. So maybe that was a big part of it.
Maybe. Didn't.
Because it looked different.
Yeah, I guess, again, if you have to caveat something by saying at the time, then it's not really that good, is it? Because as much as, well, you think about it, you didn't particularly like Rocket Knight Adventures, but how great does it look? How great is the character? How good is the animation?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
You don't have to caveat out with it, like 4 or 60. You don't have to say 4 a Mega Drive game, 4 or 16-bit game, 4 a game. But you don't have to say that. It just looks brilliant, and sounds brilliant, as you said. I don't like that caveat. You shouldn't have to. It's not an excuse. Being old is an excuse. Things can be old and look beautiful. Like me.
Okay.
Because I did. I loved this game. I thought it was fantastic. And really, that's a big takeaway for me. And it comes back to, again, doing where I played through everything on MAME, looking for the hidden gems, which is a bit of a anathema term, hidden gems, but it does what it says, doesn't it? But by doing that, you find games that are new to you, even though they're 30 years old.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant. Being 30 years old doesn't come into the equation. They're just fantastic. I think we must have mentioned it here before, and it will be done as an episode at some point. But there is a game that you can only play on MAME called The Outfoxies.
Oh yeah,
which will blow your tiny little mind if you've never seen or heard of it or played it before. It's just incredible, and that's the sort of thing. And that's kind of how I felt about Rocket Knight Adventures. I genuinely was like, this is brilliant. This is a game that it's not well known. I've never played it before. It came out in '92. I think
93.
So it's 30 years old, and I just thought it was brilliant from start to finish. Brilliant. Had I not sort of gone on to play the other 2 games in the series, I probably would have gone straight back and started it again on the slightly higher difficulty level.
Really?
I just loved it.
You really took to it.
I played the Japanese version because it's the sweet spot. The difficulty level's right and the speed's right, whereas the European version they run at. They don't run at 60 hertz, they run at 50, so slightly slower. We never knew at the time, so it never bothered us, but now you know. There's no text or anything, so the Japanese version is definitely... If you haven't played it and you're going to go and grab an emulator or something, get the Japanese version. I was thinking about the other day how nostalgia is a bit of a crutch for retro games, and I don't like it. I don't like how big chunks of sort of retro gaming on the internet is based on nostalgia, because a game is good no matter when it was made.
It is very, very difficult to separate the two, though.
I think, when you have nostalgia,
to just look at a game in isolation, from your feelings about it from when you played it 30 years ago, it's a very difficult thing.
The sort of the real nexus of that idea is GoldenEye, because there is nobody who played GoldenEye at the time who doesn't still love it.
Yeah.
I didn't play it at the time, and I think it's shit. I genuinely think it's borderline unplayable.
Yeah.
Because I have zero nostalgia for it.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I just think there are other games that you could play for the first time now. That's why we would say we were just talking about this. That are still as good, will still blow your socks off. And I think for most people, if you like 16-bit games in general, action platformers, that sort of thing, and you've not played Rocket Knight Adventures, then go and play Rocket Knight Adventures, because I think you'll love it. And if you don't love it, do what Dave did and stop playing it and watch a video of it, because it's beautiful and it's got brilliant ideas, and it's just a great piece of work that was sort of thrown out into the world to try and survive in the world of Sonic and Mario and all that nonsense. But anybody who loves the game, got anything to say about it, there are comment sections on every single platform we're available on, so feel free to call us out for not talking about your favourite bit of the game. There's so much to talk about. There's so many different things that it does, and so much to love about it if you're not Dave. It's very easily done. As much as it's a cliche, I do love a bit of a hidden gem. I do love to the games that aren't always talked about, because I think there's this thing that I've said for as far back as I can remember, when I used to be sort of, people used to say I didn't like stuff because it was popular, and try and brand me with that. I mean, it's not the case. There are lots of things that are popular that I do like, but to be popular, a product tends to have to be fairly generic. There tends to have, not always, not 100% of the time, don't understand it, but most of the time, if you want to be popular, if you want to appeal to a wide audience, there are things that you can't do and there are things that you will do, And those things are often things that I don't like, or things that I like that you can't do because that's what you're trying to achieve. And that's why quite often I don't like popular things.
Music is probably the best example of that.
Yeah.
To sell a lot of albums or singles, you have to appeal to the broadest range of people possible to get played on the popular radio stations, which just generally tends to churn out shit music.
Yeah. Nobody ever went broke appealing to the lowest common denominator.
Exactly.
To quote Lisa Simpson.
That's the entire basis of ITV.
You mentioned the music of Rocket Knight Adventures, and I think much like the whole game, I mean, I don't know how much you said you watched a video, didn't you?
I've seen the entire game start to finish.
You notice how the tone of the music changes. It starts off all heroic and going on an adventure. It's all upbeat and happy, and I'm going to go. Let's go, and it gets quite dark and serious by the end of it, which I think is really, really cool. And it really helps the tone of the game.
Yeah, I loved the bit at the end. It's weird to skip straight to the end, but the very last bit, we've beaten the last boss, and you're coming back to the planet from outer space in a re-entry module.
Yeah.
Fuck it sounds weird just to say it. And the robot pig thing burns up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's the music from earlier in the game, but about 3 times the beats per minute.
Yeah.
And it's real sense of like, oh shit, end of the world stuff's going on. But I thought music was really, really good.
Again, you didn't enjoy it, and I'm glad you watched it, even if you didn't enjoy playing it, because I think...
Well, that was the thing. I felt like I had to. I felt like I got so little out of it from playing it. I thought, I've got to watch the rest of the game. I've got to see what there is.
Yeah, and I think it is a great game to play, and well, I thought it was anyway. Obviously, you disagree, but it's almost as good to watch and see, because there are such great effects and such brilliant ideas in it. And I think it's probably one of the reasons I liked it so much. A good idea will win me over every single time. I will absolutely. All you have to have is a good idea, and I'm like, right, playing that. I need to know more, need to see more.
Yeah.
There's a game called Never Dead on the 360 that I just read a review, and it just said, as you take damage, you basically, your arms and legs cut off, but you stay alive and in control of the character to the point where in the end you're just a head rolling around the screen. And I'm like, the review is like 3 out of 10. But I'm like, now I'm playing that. I am absolutely, that's a fucking great idea. Rocket Knight Adventures is full of great ideas. You used to mid-bosses and end bosses in games. There's one level's got like a start boss where you start the level and there's a mini boss battle straight away. It's just like, this isn't, I didn't expect this at all.
Dark Souls does that quite often. Dark Souls 3, within about the first 5 minutes of the game, you're confronted with a boss that probably around 50% of the people who pick it up and play it never get past. That's it. They get to that point, they don't manage it, so they just turn it off, never play it again.
It's like there's lots of stories about that, about the car park level in Driver, isn't there?
Yes.
Lots of people never got past that. Never actually played the game. I'm still watching the video of this game. It's such a great looking game. I've just noticed this section where it's kind of trying to give the impression that you're flying in a circle. It's the second side-scrolling shooter level.
Right.
And the boss at the end, is sort of the background's just looping.
Mm-hmm.
But the parallax on the floor is going left to right at the front and right to left at the back, and slower in the middle than it is at either end. So it's trying to give the impression that you're flying in a circle.
Okay.
Very clever game. Very cool stuff it does. And as I say, I think the SNES version doesn't quite manage to hit that same mark, which is a shame. From what you've said, you would really struggle with Sparkster on the SNES.
Quite probably. I've never been the biggest fan of that kind of game. And as time has gone on, I've played less and less and less things like that.
Yeah. So
I'm not well suited to playing games of that kind. If it's something I've played for years, like Sonic 2, Super Mario World on the SNES, I know the games. So I know what I'm doing. I don't have to learn. I don't have to go through that sort of the rigmarole of learning how to play the game and the layouts of the game.
Yeah.
Which I just I can't really be bothered with anymore. One of the things I look back on retro games now. In fact, this has really made me think that when I play a game now that's old, I don't play it as the person I was, the age I was when that game came out. Because I would have just picked up anything and gone, oh yeah, let's give this a go, and learned how to do it and learned how to play it and played it through and finished it. Yeah. Nowadays, I pick up something, and if it's not fun, if it doesn't grab me, then it probably won't.
Yeah.
And I'll just put it down and put it to one side.
I think that there's good and bad about that, isn't there? I mean, you're absolutely right. Games should engage on some level from the off. And I remember battling through and playing really quite bad games, like all the way through. And it says, because you got them, you played, we're going to do Mortal Kombat at some point, and I had the SNES version of Mortal Kombat. And due to a story that I will save for that episode, it's terrible. It's a really bad version of that game, but I played it endlessly and would defend it to the hilt about it because I was invested to it. But I don't think they can. I think Rocket Knight Adventures is probably the best game I've played on the Mega Drive.
Really?
Yeah.
It's very highly rated, which I can't even remember ever hearing about it.
No, it was never particularly popular. It's another one that I think it started slowly, and it was very much in that mascot platformer era as well. It was after Sonic, and it was after that. And I kept reading when I was researching and looking into it. People kept saying, it's Sonic clone and all that, and it's nothing like Sonic.
No, it's a long way from Sonic.
Other than the fact the guy's blue. I think that's what people got hung up on.
Well, his armour's blue. He himself is beige-ish.
He's an opossum.
Opossum? Or is it just possum?
No, it's opossum.
All right, okay.
They're two different creatures.
Oh, okay.
A possum, which is an Australian thing, and opossum, which is basically a massive rat.
Yeah.
And it's you've done a possum. You're clearly running out of animals now, aren't you? You've got...
One of my favourite ones ever was Ty the Tasmanian Tiger.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Properly scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. It's like, what animal hasn't been used yet? A bandicoot? It's a fun word to say.
I mean, to be fair, it is a fun word to say.
It is a fun word to say. I'm surprised we never got Super Mario Platypus Brothers.
But yes, there are lots of games about lots of animal mascot type things. And Sparkster, his name, from Rocket Knight Adventures, acted as Konami's Konami.
Yeah, Konami. Definitely.
Yeah, he was like their mascot. He turned up in a few other games and was dotted around and attached to things for a little while, not for long.
I think he's quite a likeable character.
Yeah, I think so too.
That was one of the positives I took away from the game. I did like him as a character.
The design is cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Like a lot of characters I hate. I despise Mario. Always have. Never liked him. Not overly keen on Sonic either. Both of them just seem like pricks.
Yeah.
I think I know what it is with Sonic. It's the 90s attitude thing, isn't it? It's fucking Poochie from Itchy and Scratchy. He's got to be rad and a surfer and a skater and be edgy and have attitude.
Yeah, I'm with you. All that Sonic nonsense is all a bit affected, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, these were mostly platformers. And I will go to my grave defending that Sparkster and Rocket Knight Adventures aren't platformers.
Okay.
I mean, in the same way that, I don't know, I guess they're not as shooty as Contra, but it's very much along those lines, very much an action game. I don't know what the genre is. Maybe it's action-adventure, but, similar to how Flashback isn't a platformer, really. There are platforms and you're on platforms, but it's not a platformer. Action platformer, that's what Rocket Knight Adventures is.
I would say that Rocket Knight seemed more like a Metroidvania.
It can't be. You unlock nothing, ever. You have all your abilities. It's like the opposite of a Metroidvania.
But no, I mean, just like the general sort of navigation of going through a level.
But Metroidvania is defined by sort of gaining more abilities as you go through the game. That's kind of what...
Okay.
But yeah, quite often with modern games, stuff like that becomes a Metroidvania, doesn't it? It goes, rather than being an action platformer. They tend to become Metroidvanias. And certainly, over the last couple of years, the Metroidvania has come back hugely.
Yeah.
It's so popular again out of when it pretty much disappeared. And I think of that is to the sad loss of the action platformer. Action platformers are getting a bit of the shitty end of the stick.
Mm.
I could imagine if you put out an action platformer, people would go, "That's not a very good Metroidvania."
Yeah. Where's the power-ups? Where's the skill tree?
Yeah, where's the map? But yeah, in Rocket Knight Adventures, you have everything from word go. You unlock nothing other than, as you say, there's a couple of levels where you're flying and it's a shooter and you do some different stuff. There's a fantastic boss battle where you're in basically giant rock'em sock'em robots.
I saw that. That looked really funny.
It's fantastic. It's so good.
Little chase sequence to get away from one.
Yeah.
It did look really... That's the thing. I watched the whole game through and thought, this is really fun to watch. I'm glad I'm not playing it. Because it looks really, really hard.
But do you know, it's really not. I mean, that boss battle took me a couple of goes to beat, and I tell you what's really interesting about that boss battle is it is great and it's well put together and it plays well and you get, this is what I have to do, and that's what boss battles should be, right? You get to a boss battle, it kicks your ass, but you go, oh, I know, I get it.
You learn it.
You love to mention the Souls-likes games and all those. And those entire games are built around that. You learn.
Yeah.
And that's what Rocket Knight Adventures is. The Sparkster on the SNES, 2 of the boss battles I've got to, almost completely random. There's no pattern.
Oh, great.
It's got the second one I've got to, which is only 11.5 from the end of the game. I put it down. I'm not picking it up again.
Really?
It's completely random. And it's basically, they've taken that Rock'em Sock'em robot type boss from Rocket Knight Adventures and reimagined it top down.
Okay.
To be something a bit different. It's funny because there's a shooter level as well, and that's vertical rather than horizontal. So it's like they're finding little plays to do on it.
Yeah. This
boss, this just flails his arms around, but almost bounces around the screen. There's no pattern. There's no way you can sort of figure out how to do. And you got to. I looked it up online for some tips, and they basically said, "Yeah, it's more luck than judgment."
Oh God.
And I was like, "No, no, it's not. I'm not playing that. That's shit design." And the whole game feels a bit like that on the SNES. It just feels not as well put together.
Is it done by the same team?
No, different guy. Weirdly, the guy who did Axley did it.
Oh, okay.
And I love Axley.
Yeah, good game.
And the top-down shooter level is quite good. The fire mode you've got one gun straight on and one off at a V at the front, so very much looking a bit like Axley. But yeah, it just never feels as well put together. Some of the levels are very good looking. It doesn't have as many nice little gimmicky tricks as the Mega Drive one has, and it just feels a less well made game. Not as enjoyable for the reasons why, and it's difficult in different ways as well. And I can't really put my finger on what it is. It's just bottom line is it's not as fun to play.
Yeah.
The music isn't as good, and I say it doesn't have the cool effect. And there's little things like that where you just that shit makes me smile. I love stuff like that. It's so creative and so and on the Mega Drive as well.
Yeah. Which
I think is a machine quite hard done by that sort of thing. I mean, there must be about 400 levels of parallax on that opening level, and that was. I remember getting excited when we were younger about levels of parallax as a way to attribute a game's value. It's got 7 layers of parallax.
Did you ever play Thunder Force 3?
No, I don't think I did.
So it's a Mega Drive side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, and that had 7 levels of parallax scrolling. And that was the big thing in the review for it. Brilliant game, actually. Thunder Force series in general was good, but that particular one was really, really good.
It's a shame you didn't like it.
Yeah, like I say, I watching it being played, I thought this looks like a good game. This looks like an enjoyable game. But when I sat down and played it, I just didn't like it. Quite quickly as well. Yeah. Like the generic sort of running along, shooting pigs. It was pigs. And then the rocket thing, like I said, being not its own button felt odd to me. It's like, that should be its own button, surely. But I wasn't enjoying it at all. And then I started to notice that they use the rocket thing to jump off in the directions to get up to things.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. It took me a little while to figure that out, I'm not going to lie. I did stand in front of that brick wall at the end of... Well, not in the end.
Too, mate. Yeah, way
First
too long.
bit of that section, like, how the fuck did you get up there?
Yeah, me too.
Well, I made the mistake of playing it with the Xbox pad and using the analog stick rather than the D-pad.
Don't do
so
that.
It wasn't detecting the diagonals. So I genuinely thought it could only go up. I stood there, no one alive, for like 2 or 3 minutes, jumping and jumping and jumping. Like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? I thought, hang on a minute, surely it's diagonals. Not a proud moment.
No.
Not going to lie.
There's a lesson learned there. You never play retro games with an analog stick. I never enjoyed joysticks. I never liked playing with a joystick back in the olden days before controllers and all that sort of shit. I was always keyboard guy because I
think the difference there was if you played something on the arcade where it was like a solid thing.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like you were moving that joystick as much, but because you used to have to hold those handheld joysticks for the old computers, it'd twist in your hand, and unless you hammered it down into your desk or your table or whatever.
Yeah, but they'd always come off at the wrong time because they had those licky, sticky,
suction pads.
The amount of fucking germs on people's desks, and it would always come off at the wrong time. You'd be going around a corner playing Wet Clement and it'd snap off and you'd be in the fucking tree.
Did you know the D-pad was patented by Nintendo?
Was it?
Yeah, if you look at the D-pad on any controller that's not Nintendo, it's not that cross shape. The Mega Drive's is a round thing with like a raised thing. The PlayStation 1 was 4 individual little bits.
Really?
Yeah.
And does that run out now? Because I'm looking at my Steam Deck and that's got a cross-shaped D-pad on it.
I think it may have gone away now, but certainly throughout, certainly the 90s, probably 80s, 90s and 2000s, there was some sort of thing where you couldn't have a cross-shaped D-pad.
Wow.
Yeah, expired in 2005.
Right.
So they had the patent on it for over 20 odd years.
I never knew that.
But yeah, if you look at all the controllers of every other console, they do something different than a cross-shape.
So are there any games like Rocket Knight Adventures along those sort of lines that you do like?
Probably not much. One of the things that I loved the consoles for, or the Mega Drive basically, because that's what I had, was that they weren't always arcadey style platform games. So, you'd get things like Desert Strike or something like, fucking PGA Tour Golf or Madden American Football. It was different games, whereas a lot of arcade games like Shinobi, the 30,000 clones of Shinobi, where it's the same game with a different character. It's a platformy run and gun thing, but this time you've got shurikens. This time you're throwing fish. This time you're, I don't know, a Portuguese, drainage worker or whatever. But they was all so samey. And there's just hundreds and hundreds of arcade games that are exactly the same. And like you said before about Spectrum versions of things, you'd be playing a game that's supposed to be set in a Western, and the enemies would be like a giant cactus.
Yeah.
Or something. It made no sense.
Around the screen
it made no
pattern.
sense, and it was just shit.
Yeah.
It had obviously just been cobbled together and thrown out.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I felt the arcade games had gone that way too much. Or certainly the ones that were available to play. There are obviously great games out there, but the arcades that we had available to us, you would either have loads and loads of platform games, a couple of driving games, maybe a gun game, and then as they got a bit more popular, the beat-em-ups came in hard, stuff like Final Fight and then Street Fighter and Turtles, things like that. And that was the Mega Drive for me. Was an opportunity to not have to play that kind of game anymore. I guess I'm trying to think of anything I did play around that sort of time. I did like James Pond.
Oh, really? I never played those.
The first one was good. The second one, Robocod, was brilliant. That was great fun. It was one of the only games in the history of my life that I found a cheat.
Oh, really?
I found a cheat code to that game.
You just figured it out.
Yeah, you pause the game, you press start, you press A 5 times, and press start again, and you warp to the end of the level.
Really?
Yeah. I just found it out. Can't remember how, can't remember why. Never read it anywhere, just tried it and it worked.
That's cool.
It didn't work on boss levels or anything like that. There had to be an actual end point of the level. But I always remember that.
I remember sort of actively trying the Konami code on games. Just on everything, even when it wasn't a Konami game. It was just a code. I used to try it on pretty much everything. And I think I had a game called Nemesis, which I think is a version of Gradius.
Oh, I remember Nemesis
on the Game Boy, and it worked on that because obviously it's a Konami game, but I didn't realise. I was just it fucking worked. I thought I discovered a cheat as far as I can say. No, just try the same thing on every single game, hoping it's going to work.
If you throw enough shit at the wall, some of it will stick.
New Zealand story that had some fantastic cheats, didn't it?
Yeah, there's a great one where you stood. It's on the first level, I think. You get a bomb power up, and you stand on a platform and fire off into what looks like empty space, and a portal opens, and you go to like level 20.
Oh wow!
I think Bubble Bobble did it as well. There were specific things you could do on that and jump like 5-6 levels at a time.
I think the Amiga and the ST versions of New Zealand Story had very sweary cheat codes.
Oh yes, Alien Breed.
Yeah.
On the Amiga was very, very famous for that. There are some brilliant ones. You'll have to Google them because YouTube won't allow me to say what I want to say. Some safer work ones are, what is it? The aliens are Man United fans, and all the aliens just run away from you. But yeah, check out the list of the cheats for Alien Breed on the Amiga. There are some brilliant ones.
If we're making an effort to be family friendly, I'm going to ruin it now because the best cheat, I think it was for Infinite Lives. To be honest with you, I don't even know what it was for, but it was probably Infinite Lives on the Amiga version of New Zealand Story. Was you pause the game and type "motherfucking Kiwi bastard"?
The cheats in Alien Breed are worse.
Okay. Yeah, so I think there's all sort of variety of that sort of thing, but that's the one I remember since the 90s. That's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually used it. It's in my brain.
Do you ever play a game called Swiv on the Amiga?
No, I do. I know it. So many pictures and screenshots and seen it so often, but never actually played it myself.
Brilliant. It's one of the best two-player games ever made. You basically, one of you is a helicopter and one of you is a tank, a jeep. And you've got various weapons that help each other out for what you do. But there's a invulnerability cheat on that where you paused the game and you typed in NCC 1701, which is the Starship Enterprise. The screen flashed and that was the cheat. I always remember thinking that's genius. Don't know why. They're obviously big Star Trek fans.
So I'll tell you what is another thing. Other games where every level is different, because as much as I think there is a basis of action platformer in Rocket Knight Adventures, every level has got something different in it. Like there's even stuff that seems a bit cliche now. Like there's a sort of a take on the minecart kind of level. There's the side-scrolling shooter bit. There's an underwater level. There's all this stuff, and this boss battle where you rock 'em, sock 'em robots and all that sort of stuff. I mean, the one that comes to mind immediate for me is Battletoads.
Oh, okay.
Which I played exclusively on the Game Boy. And no one ever talks about the Game Boy version. The NES version is sort of mythologically difficult. Every single level was different on that. The game was ostensibly a bit of a Double Dragon type brawler. Mm-hmm. But then there was a level where you were dangling from a rope and swinging backwards and forwards. There was a vertically scrolling shooter level, a side-scrolling shooter level. They basically did everything. And I just thought, what other games are there like that?
I'm trying to think of anything that changes that much from level to level. It's not that I can really think of, because like you say, it's not a common thing, is it?
No. For
a game to do that, or even be able to do that.
No. I'll tell you what, you've mentioned it before, actually. It was The Untouchables. The game tie-in for The Untouchables.
Yeah.
That had different things.
Yeah, it's like a side-scrolling platform shoot 'em up, and then like an Operation Wolf style thing where your character was at the bottom of the screen and rolled around. Yeah, that was an interesting one.
There was like a vertically scrolling level where you had to protect the buggy.
Oh, the pram. I don't remember ever getting that far.
Yeah, it was weirdly like an entire long level of a video game based on like a 2-second moment from the film, which was in itself an homage to the black and white classic called Battleship Potemkin. And it's you have to sort of move around shooting and pushing the pram around as you do it. It's really bloody hard. I think it was sort of walking down the screen because it was trying to mimic the pram going down the steps.
Yeah.
So you think of like a commando style game where you're walking up the screen but walking down instead, shooting and trying to protect this pram. It's so bloody difficult.
That's weird. I've never seen that. I'll have to look that up.
I think pretty much every level of that was different.
Hmm.
Because those Ocean games did quite a lot of stuff where there were differences in the levels, like the Batman the movie.
I was just thinking Batman movie. You got the driving section, then the beat 'em up section.
It's sort of almost like a platform game, isn't it? You have to find your way around the Axis Chemical Factory, among other things, and then there's the driving, and then there's the Batwing levels as well.
Yeah. Oh, also it's got the mixing the chemicals thing.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah. You have to find out what the right mixture of chemicals is.
So that's at least 4 game modes in that one. What about the 8-bit? Presumably you had it on the Spectrum, I had it on the Amstrad. Ghostbusters. You had the city map, which you would move around. Then you'd have the drive to the call, and then the actual like trap the ghost thing.
The map bit was kind of strategy light, wasn't it? It was you just trying to manage and make sure you got to everything as you should, and then the driving was a bit shit. But I was certainly on the Spectrum, it was a bit shit. But I loved it. I loved it. I
love Ghostbusters.
I must have played it so much. What's your favourite mascot in all gaming?
Ooh, I'll have to think about that because there's a lot I hate. There's very few I actually like.
Yeah, I think they tend to genuinely be a bit naff, don't they?
Yeah. I did actually quite like Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought he was quite a fun character. Like idle animations, if you just leave him standing there, he's very well animated and quite emotive. He's an interesting character, whereas a lot of the others are just sort of static and dull. Main problem I have is that the concept for a lot of them is just, it's one thing. Like Mario, he's a plumber. He's an Italian plumber. That's it.
When has he plumbed anything?
Never.
When in any of these games, well, I wish someone would leave us a comment and tell me when Mario's plumbed something. And I don't mean Princess Peach either.
Oh, he's plumbed the depths.
It's but I'm with you. Most of them I don't like. I love Pac-Man. I think he's a fantastic. Just an icon of games. So simple, so effective, and the ghosts and the whole thing.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant. I think it's such a brilliant graphic design. I think more than these. I mean, as games, I think Jak and Daxter on the PlayStation tried to be a bit of a mascot for a while, and those games are fantastic.
I've never played them. Are they any good?
Yeah, really good, really good. And they change hugely, like massively. Like the first game, there is a lot of sort of sliding around, bouncing on heads, swinging on things, quite cartoony. Mm-hmm. And the second one, it's all very dark and shooty, lots of guns and all stuff like that. It changes a lot, but they're very, very cool games.
It's edgy in 90s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not. It's the 2000s, so everything's got.
Was it Gen 7?
No, sadly, I haven't got that excuse. But Gen 7, because it's that. Do you remember how the sequel to Sands of Time went all goth and dark and emo, and he was all like had black makeup on and shit like that?
Oh yeah.
There were lots of
Warrior
games.
Within, was it?
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots
of fucking shitty American guitar music and stuff like that, and lots of games took that route and sort of tried to, as you say, be edgy and dark. Mm. Very much like The Crow and all that.
Oh, God.
Bollocks. So, yeah. But Jak and Daxter did it in a better way. Mm. I used to love about animations in Jak and Daxter. The second one, I think the second one. Might have been the third, but I think the second. The gun you had 3 different firing modes. And it transformed between them. So it did an animation to transform the look of the gun to change the mode. And I just used to love that. It's such a cool little thing to...
Yeah.
Completely, you don't have to do that, do you? It's just a really good tweak. It's a really well designed thing. I think that was Naughty Dog. They went off to do fucking Uncharted, which are horrible games.
What did they did something else. Naughty Dog. Oh, Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, there you
go. There's really not a lot until Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, then there's Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2, Crash Team Racing, then 4 Jak and Daxter games. And then Uncharted, then Last of Us. Ugh. They've done nothing but Uncharted and Last of Us for the last 17 years.
Yeah. You talk about Gen 7. That's fucking Gen 7 right there. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh no, I'm going to cry. All the emotion. All the emotion. Fuck off. And that's sort of what Tomb Raider turned into in the newer trilogy as well. So I guess Lara Croft's a bit of a mascot character, isn't she?
I was thinking Lara Croft, but just too human for me to think of as a mascot.
Well, I guess so.
Mascot is a suit that someone puts on. It's not a skimpily clad woman with big triangular pointy tits. I guess ToeJam and Earl, they're good fun characters. They never quite got to be mascot status.
No, but they should have been.
Yeah.
They should have been. I'm trying to think, because, I'm with you. None of the Nintendo characters I like at all. Like, the entire cast of...
Yeah.
I know the Nintendo characters from Super Mario Kart and variations of that.
Yeah. Because
I don't play the platformers, so... And I know the only character I even like the look of on the entirety of the Mario Kart games is the little guy with looks like he's wearing a hockey mask.
Shy Guy? Is that
Shy Guy, that's it. Yeah, the only character, whenever I play one of the racing games, if they're available, that's who I play as. Because I don't give a shit about any of them, just not interested.
There is actually one Nintendo one that I did like. Star Fox.
Oh, yes. That's a great shout.
Star Fox is a great character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did they make a TV series or something?
I don't know.
Because if not, that is a really wasted opportunity.
Yeah, no, you really should have done, shouldn't they? But mind you, the whole franchise is a wasted opportunity currently. Because they're doing, they did a game on the Wii U that died in its arse. They're not really doing anything with it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. It's such a great opportunity. And so many of the games are very good. Even that Wii U game is actually quite good. It got a bad rap, but it's quite a good game.
Yep, there was a 2016 TV show.
Oh, really? That's fairly current.
Doesn't look like it did very well.
Well, no. Neither of us ever heard of it, so it's pretty...
Yeah. 1 season, 3 whole episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure you could call that a series.
No. Maybe it was never supposed to be, though.
Maybe. Don't know.
There's a Tomb Raider show coming out soon, isn't there? It's on...
Is there?
Amazon, I think, are doing an animated Tomb Raider.
Oh, okay.
I think it's set after this modern game trilogy as well, which should certainly give it the opportunity to be less fucking, oh my God, I'm so alone, I don't know what to do. I'm going to murder this deer and eat it. And now everything's okay.
I haven't really played any of the sort of reboots or anything, so I'm well out of the loop on like the current story.
Yeah, well, they're shit. Is all you need to know. They're basically that sort of Uncharted, very, again, Gen 7 style, very difficult to die unless the game wants you to die. And when you do die, you'll start from exactly the same spot you were, and it won't actually cost you anything anyway, because God fucking forbid there be any risk involved.
Or challenge.
Yeah, ranting again, aren't I?
A little bit.
What should have been a mascot that never got anywhere was Croc.
Oh, Croc's great.
Croc is basically Tomb Raider. There's many of the same things going on as Tomb Raider had.
There's a great bit in Croc. You quit the game, and it turns really sad, and it's like, oh, I gave up on searching for my friends or something. It's like really sad. He's like walks away. It's at the end of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I was going to say, does the Hulk music come in?
Yeah. Croc was good and never... Did it ever have a sequel?
It did have a sequel. It wasn't as good, though. It's one of those sequels where they tried to add in stuff that didn't really fit.
Yeah.
It was a little puzzle platformer, wasn't it? Sliding blocks around and find it. It was very much in the Tomb Raider vein. I remember playing it at the time and going, this is basically Tomb Raider, just with a little cute crocodile.
Yeah. That has reminded me of another mascot character that I absolutely hate.
Who's that?
Spyro.
Oh, fuck's sake, yeah.
Oh, I hate Spyro. Do you remember, what was the other one? Gex. Do you remember that?
Gex the gecko.
Voiced by Leslie Phillips.
Was it?
Yeah, to try and make him suave.
I kind of love that. I didn't realise that was the case. What about Earthworm Jim?
I love Earthworm Jim.
Those games are fucking brutal, aren't they?
They are so weird. In what other game do you get a prompt that comes up on screen that says cow launched?
That's spoilers for anyone who didn't know that.
It's 30 years old.
It doesn't matter. Spoilers don't have a use by date. All right? I think it might be like the first thing you do. You come along, basically walk on from the left-hand side of the screen, and you hit a switch and launch the cow. And then, unless you finish the game, you never know why. This is awesome. And, finishing that game is no fucking easy feat.
Has it got a boss fight where you're bungee jumping?
There's definitely some bungee jumping bits in it. I didn't play it all that much.
Yeah. I never owned it. Somebody I knew must have had it, because I did play it.
Yeah.
But never like a good, solid, like you would play your own game.
And I think it would need it, wouldn't it? Because, as I say,
yeah.
My memories of it, it's very funny, very cool. Irreverent, isn't it? It's that, again, very 90s style of humour.
Yeah.
But also blisteringly hard. But really, and the animation on that's so cool as well.
Yeah.
He used to do all sorts of cool stuff in his idle animations, didn't he?
Yeah, it's sort of just like throws guns around and just that constant looking around thing.
Very smart. They didn't really exist on the home computers, did they? They weren't something you really saw much.
There were lots of attempts to do it. There was Zool on the Amiga, which was pretty good.
Yes, I had actually a message from my friend Chris the other day, who inspired me to start doing a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Chris. You should be listening. You tell me you listen to all of them. So, hi, mate. I did get your message.
Or he's lying.
Yeah. we did one the other day, didn't we? With the messages from our listeners. We're going to a little segue into that. He's still absolutely loving our work. He wasn't familiar with some of the early games, but loved the Resident Evil episode.
Oh, good.
Big fan of Toe Jam and Earl. He's all about that. And then he says, please tell me Zool, the ninja from the nth dimension, is on your list. Which I've never played, but that was like an Amiga. Basically, this whole, what we're talking about with Rocket Knight Adventures, buying into that whole Sonic the Hedgehog boom of characters like that. But yeah, I never played Zool.
It's good. It is a good game.
Isn't it licensed? Didn't it have a weird license for something? Or am I thinking of something else? Was it Chupa Chups or something?
Yeah. Maybe. I'm just looking at a screenshot. It's all sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chupa Chups.
Yeah.
Chupa Chups brand and logo have been heavily featured in the Zool series as part of their sponsorship. Yeah, so there you go. Featured in the opening title and the first level.
Maybe it's worth a play.
It is good. I remember it being quite good. But again, that was every game that came out tried to make its character a repeat game character. Yes. Did you ever play Cool Spot?
Because I was just Googling Zool. It's come up. There's a picture there with Cool Spot surfing a bottle of 7-Up.
Cool Spot is the red dot from the 7-Up logo.
For fuck's sake.
Fucking hell. Oh, I've just remembered one of the worst sponsorship type games ever. There's a Pepsi game. Have you ever seen this?
No.
It's like a running simulator thing that you would expect to see on like a mobile phone.
Oh, Christ. Now.
I can't remember I think it might be something as simple as Pepsi Man. Or some bollocks. Yeah, it's Pepsi Man.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's awful. Remember with the retro arcade, retro games thing we went to in Leicester that time? I got chatting to the guy who ran it because I used to see him at his events all the time. And we were talking about this game once. He says, oh, yeah, I picked that up the other day. It's fucking awful. It's like literally one of the worst games you'll ever play. I was like, oh, I've got to see it now.
Yeah, so, do you know what I mean? It's one of those things, isn't it? If you just said, nah, it's a bit shit, you wouldn't think twice about it. Someone says it's the worst game ever, you're like, I need to play that.
Yeah, it's on the PlayStation.
God. When they remade Abe's Odyssey, is that on the list?
Oddworld,
Abe's Odyssey, is that on the list? I mean, it's something I've not really played, but I seem to remember you were a fan.
I loved it. I think it's brilliant. I need to go back and play it properly.
Yeah, and probably decide you hate it now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but on the original PlayStation versions, there was a product called Slurm.
I'm not sure it's Slurm, because that's the drink from Futurama.
Yes, that's true.
So I think it's something else, but I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure it's not
No,
Slurm.
you're right. You're absolutely right. So he was escaping from the Rupture Farms meat processing factory, so I think there was various products of Rupture Farms advertised in the background. And when they re-released the game, did a remaster of it relatively recently, they changed all those billboards for, I think, other game posters.
Oh, okay.
So real world stuff. So in the world of Abe's Odyssey, they put adverts in for other products, and it's just so like clashing with the whole vibe of the game. One thing I think anyone take away from Abe's Odyssey is the world building is beautiful, isn't it? Even because there's the language you have to use and stuff like that. It completely immerses you in that world. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
And then you've got an advert for some other shit that's completely irrelevant. It's not good. Not a good look. So you're going to tell me what you're planning for our next game?
I have an idea for what I think I want to do next.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You could choose something that you're actually going to play. Is that the idea?
Yes. Well, it's something I've played already.
Right.
It's called Final Fantasy VII.
Don't you fucking dare.
Well, it could be your ToeJam and Earl moment.
It could be. It could happen again, couldn't it? Or it could be my Pac-Man moment.
It's Golden Axe.
Oh, really?
I was showing Alexander Golden Axe recently. Played it through, finished it in one go.
Really?
Yeah, used a few continues, obviously.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
Took about 20 minutes. Oh, bloody hell. But then I picked up Golden Axe 2 on MAME, which I'd never played before. And it's brilliant. It's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Genuinely surprised by it as well. And I think there's a third one as well, which I've never played.
Oh, right. Interesting choice, mate.
Yeah, like I say, I sort of rediscovered it a little bit recently. But there's also multiple sequels, various versions. And if I remember right, there's a TV series coming out soon.
Oh, really? We don't want to talk about this too much now because otherwise we'll have nothing to say next time out.
No.
But there have been attempts to relaunch and get Golden Axe going again many, many times, and most of these games are awful. So I'm going to have a lot of fun playing some terrible games.
Well, it's like we said before about franchises that seem to have died and vanished. Golden Axe is one that keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Sega seem to always try to push it onto new systems. And like I say, yeah, there might possibly be a TV show coming out based on it.
On April 17th, 2024, it was announced that a comedic animated series based on the games will air on Comedy Central.
Oh, okay.
I guess, well, if that was only announced in April, then it'll be a little while off, I guess.
Might have to have a look at that.
If you're going to watch any animated series at the minute, watch Scavenger's Reign.
Scavenger's Reign?
Mate, it's incredible. Actually, we're going to leave this in the edit. Everybody, get your ass to Netflix and watch Scavenger's Reign so that it gets a second series. It's brilliant. It's so good. It was originally on, I think, Hulu. Didn't do very well, so Netflix probably snapped it up for not very much money, and it's not doing very well again, but it's one of probably the best animated TV shows I've ever seen. Nothing can prepare you for what you will see on that show. The level of imagination and characterizations that they've put together on that show are just unbelievable. It's so good. It ends. There is an ending to kind of the story, and then it opens up for continuation, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen, which is a shame. But you do get a satisfying ending. It's just brilliant. Just brilliant.
Drinks?
So yeah, let's do drinks.
I would be curious to know, actually, how many people listen to this for the game stuff? How many people actually listen for the cocktail stuff?
Oh, I would imagine nobody listens for the drink stuff.
I'm not taking advice of these morons.
No, it's a lie, because we know for a fact that Jason, hi Jason, I know you're behind, so you'll probably be listening to this in about 6 months' time. We know Jason.
Happy Christmas.
We know that he listens to the cocktail stuff, so there you go. There's at least one.
To be fair, I mean, we're at a point now where we've got 24 cocktails on this list.
Yeah,
that's a fun night out.
Absolutely,
surely.
Yeah. Damn straight.
What can I get you, sir? Here's the list.
As is our tradition. You can go first. So you must have struggled because you always struggle and there's a game you barely played, so...
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I didn't play it enough to really get the gist of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched it, I've seen it, I know the plot, the story, the mechanics of the game, and I couldn't really, because I didn't feel like I'd experienced that.
Yeah.
It had to be a simple pun and quite a nice sounding drink. So my choice is called the Sir Knight.
Yeah, cool.
Looked for a cocktail with a bit of a name, but also one that I want to drink.
Yeah, always a good shout.
I hate picking a cocktail based on a name and then just looking at the list of ingredients and thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, it's got gin again. Or it's whiskey and orange. But no, this caught my eye because it sounds genuinely quite nice. It's equal shots of cognac, triple sec, and green chartreuse.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Or an alternative herbal liqueur.
Well,
and a dash of aromatic bitters. Served in a Nick and Nora glass.
Nick and Nora.
Which I had to look up because I've never heard that before.
I don't have any. They look a bit like a short sherry glass.
Yeah, kind of like the sort of chalice.
Yeah.
So I sort of described it to myself.
I think they're quite small. I think they're for when you have quite small measures. A drink is quite... But when you have a drink... It says equal measures. What is the equal measure of shot?
It's 22.5 millilitres, which I think is a shot.
That's a single shot, yeah. So that's only 3 shots. So it's tiny. So that's, Nick and Nora glasses.
But it's not watered down with anything. It's literally, 3 shots of like 40% proof alcohol.
Yeah, you want to sip that, wouldn't you?
Yep, definitely. It is a sipping... Well, it's specifically a sipping glass, the Nick and Nora. I had to look it up just for the name to see where it came from. It's a fictional couple.
Is it?
Yeah, that were featured in, where is it? Dashiell Hammett books.
Oh, cool.
Or a Dashiell Hammett book, The Thin Man.
Oh, nice.
Nick is an alcoholic private detective, and Nora is his wife, a wealthy heiress. But they're a glamorous cocktail drinking couple.
Yeah, that's smart. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I was more interested in the story of
the glass than the
actual cocktail itself.
No, I'm with you. That's great stuff. I'd often seen a Nick and Nora glass and not really done anything with the information. I've always got my eye out for them. When I did get trawl around boot sales, there's always people selling old glasses and things. I've always got my eyes out for a decent cocktail glass, and I've never seen one. But when I see them, because our friend Difford always has pictures of the cocktails in the glasses, doesn't he? And it's so I know what I'm looking for, but I've never seen one out in the wild.
Oh, okay.
I've decided that a chartreuse needs to be added to my cocktail cabinet because it seems to come up a lot, and I don't have any. It does seem to quite a lot of these cocktails when we're looking at them. That and Caraca, whatever.
Caraca.
Yeah, that seems to come up a lot as well. So I think
blue,
I'm have to,
presumably.
It's usually blue. Yeah, I think they do a green and a yellow version as well. I think.
Oh, okay. I've only ever had blue. I don't know what the other's like. It's effectively just the colour, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. No, I like that. Would you say it's called the Sir Knight?
Sir Knight, yeah. Adapted from a recipe in the 1938 book, The How and When.
Oh, cool. I like a classic cocktail. I didn't go for a classic cocktail myself. I don't know where the one I've got.
Oh, okay.
The one I've gone for comes from. It's just on a website. The website is called Recipe Fiction.
Okay.
Basically, I decided that I wanted to find a cocktail with this name. This is the name. I knew the vibe I was going for. And I thought there's got to be a cocktail called that. And there's several different cocktails with pretty much the same name.
Okay.
And much like you, I've gone for the one that I liked the most and could have even a hope in hell of making, because the name is The Old Dog New Tricks.
I like that.
Which is
we've equally proved and disproved that theory with this game.
Yeah, because of, as I've stated at length in the episode, I love the fact that this is a very old console, and this game was new to me from 1992 or 3 or 1 or whatever it was, and it's brand new to me, and I loved it, and I just wanted to celebrate that a little bit. And I guess this day was always going to come, because I feel this way about many games, and if we ever do this thing again where we pick a game we haven't played, I won't be able to choose this because I will want to. Unless I choose the one, there is a version, the Old Dog New Tricks on Difford's, consists of Fernet Branca liqueur, Gifford Banane du Brésil liqueur, Monin brown cane sugar syrup, and lime juice. Obviously, I do not have those first two ingredients.
No shit, Sherlock.
Nor am I going to pay 50 quid for bottles of them just to make one cocktail that I may not even like. So I think this other one might just be something somebody's made up. The Old Dog New Trick, it's actually called on Recipe Fiction. And it reminds me of a cocktail I had at my wedding called the Fireside. I'd ask you if you remember it, but I know for a fact you don't remember anything about my wedding.
I remember bits.
You remember there was a free bar. So I had a cocktail at my wedding that was called the Firesider, which was vodka, grapefruit juice, maple syrup, and like a branch of rosemary that you use to stir in the maple syrup and keep it all mixed together, and it was lovely. And this is quite similar because it's grapefruit juice and a spirit, gin this time, but with thyme and black pepper in it as well. So it's pink grapefruit juice. I love pink grapefruit juice. If I see a cocktail with pink grapefruit juice in it, I'm always going to try it. And it's very, very nice. I mean, to be totally honest with you, it mostly tastes of pink grapefruit juice. You get a little waft of the thyme coming through it and a little bit of heat from the black pepper as well. But it's pretty much stealth grapefruit juice. You're just going to get hammered thinking you're drinking pink grapefruit juice on a cold day, or a hot day even. But very nice, very drinkable cocktail. But I'm not going to lie, I chose it for the name. I did a Dave, as we call it. But it is nice. It's a little bit unspectacular. It's not going to blow you away or anything, but it's a very tasty cocktail. The time I used out of our garden, the plant's looking a bit ropey now. But when you go to take a sip and you get a little bit of a hit of that aroma of thyme as you're drinking it, it is lovely. So I think maybe if you had more fresh thyme in it, it would be an even nicer drink. But yeah, nice drink, better name.
Does the pepper add much to it?
Just a little. You just get a little tingle of heat every now and again. And there are gins that suggest black pepper as the garnish as well. So it's a flavour that goes well with gin.
So it is a thing. It's not just chucked in there for a random.
No. I think Roku gin, the Japanese gin, which is lovely, one of the best supermarket gins you can buy. I think they suggest garnishing that with black pepper anyway.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of works pretty well.
Yeah, it's like going back to the salt thing from Sergio Manella, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It just lifts the flavours up. I never talked about measures, did I? So let me build it for you. So we're in ounces for this one. So 4 ounces of pink grapefruit juice. The fresher the better, obviously. Half a teaspoon of fresh thyme. I would suggest if your thyme isn't as fresh as it could be, doubling that. It says 2 turns of fresh cracked black pepper. I did 3, so all this change. So I love black pepper; it's one of my favourite things in the world. And then 1.5 ounces of gin, and it's very nice. It's very much a summery drink. It's very much it would be lovely on a warm day out in my hammock. Hopefully, if the thyme plant comes to life in my garden, because it's looking pretty dead at the minute, it's right next to my hammock. So I've got visions of myself hanging out in my hammock, reaching out and pinching off fresh thyme to throw into my drink. So I'm looking forward to that, having my Old Dog New Trick.
I like it. It's good.
That's about it for Rocket Knight Adventures. Next up out, as you heard, is Golden Axe and its many sequels and spin-offs, and probably a load of Dungeons and Dragons stuff because it just lends itself to that. So please come and listen to us again on Cocktail Mode, where gaming, like alcohol, is in our blood.